Hey everyone! Today we're diving deep into the remastered version of Freedom Wars on the Nintendo Switch. This game originally launched as a PlayStation Vita exclusive and was one of the standout titles for the system. Now, publisher Bandai Namco has taken the reins to bring this game to a new audience, remastering it with updates for modern platforms. Let's explore what this dystopian action RPG has to offer, where it shines and where it falters. For those unfamiliar, Freedom Wars is a third-person action game set in a dystopian world where resources are scarce and human life is treated as a crime. This unique premise made the game stand out when it first launched. Like the Wii U, the PlayStation Vita didn't achieve widespread commercial success, but it became home to some genuinely remarkable games. Freedom Wars was one of the most successful first-party titles for the Vita, especially in Japan, and has since gained a cult following. Now, more than a decade later, Freedom Wars Remastered is here. But how well does this remaster hold up? Let's dive in. At its core, the gameplay in Freedom Wars draws inspiration from titles like Monster Hunter, offering action-packed missions where you face off against massive enemies. In this game, you play as a sinner sentenced to 1 million years of imprisonment in a dystopian underground city called a panopticon. Your goal? Complete operations to reduce your sentence and regain basic privileges, called entitlements, like exercising, sleeping, or interacting with others. The game's narrative hook revolves around this system of earning back your humanity. The opening premise is both fascinating and oppressive. In this world, even the act of existing is considered a crime, and every step you take comes with consequences. For instance, straying too far from your partner can add hundreds of years to your sentence. Meanwhile, successfully completing missions and rescuing civilians chips away at your time, earning you more freedom. This unique concept is what immediately grabs your attention, but the execution has some drawbacks. The story, while intriguing, often slows the gameplay to a crawl. The opening hours, in particular, are bogged down by lengthy dialogue sequences and repetitive trips back to your cell. After every mission, you're sent back to the same starting point, forcing you to retrace your steps if you want to shop, upgrade gear, or prepare for the next operation. While you eventually unlock a fast travel feature, this early design choice feels unnecessarily cumbersome. Once you move past the slower narrative segments, the game's combat becomes the true star. Missions revolve around battling massive abductors, towering mechanical creatures that pose a significant challenge. These encounters require strategic use of melee weapons, firearms, and a unique grappling tool called the Thorn. The Thorn adds a dynamic layer to combat, allowing you to scale enemies, drag them to the ground, or quickly navigate the environment. As you progress, you unlock new types of thorns with special abilities, like healing or shielding, which add more depth to the gameplay. The variety in missions helps keep things interesting. In addition to standard combat scenarios, you'll encounter missions where you compete against rival panopticons to rescue civilians, akin to a capture the flag mode. These moments provide a refreshing break from the core gameplay loop and showcase the game's creativity. After completing missions, you're faced with a choice. Donate gathered materials to the greater cause, reducing your sentence, or keep them for personal upgrades. While neither option has a significant downside, balancing these decisions adds a layer of strategy to your progression. One of the standout improvements in the remaster is the revamped control scheme. The Switch version feels more intuitive, with light and heavy melee attacks mapped to the R and ZR buttons and quick weapon switching assigned to X. Movement speed has also been slightly increased, making the overall experience smoother and more enjoyable. For those nostalgic for the original Vita controls, customizable options are available to replicate the old layout. However, the remaster falls short in some areas. While the resolution has been bumped up to 1080p in docked mode, a notable improvement over the Vita's 544p, the game still runs at 30 frames per second on the Switch. This frame rate is serviceable, but it pales in comparison to the 4K 60 FPS experience available on other platforms. These limitations make the Switch version feel more like a direct port than a fully realized remaster. The game does introduce some minor new features, such as additional hairstyles and facial customization options. These are welcome additions, but hardly transformative. The original Japanese audio is included as an option, though it's tucked away under a confusing menu label called Request Auditory Refit. While the soundtrack remains unchanged, it still complements the game's dystopian sci-fi setting beautifully. Despite its flaws, Freedom Wars Remastered truly shines during its action sequences. The combat is fast-paced, strategic, and satisfying. Swapping between weapons, grappling onto enemies, and coordinating attacks with your team creates exhilarating moments that keep you hooked. These high points make it easier to overlook the game's slower segments and repetitive elements. For newcomers, Freedom Wars Remastered offers a unique blend of dystopian storytelling and challenging combat. Returning players will appreciate the improvements to controls and visuals, even if the remaster doesn't push the boundaries as far as it could have. Our final verdict? Freedom Wars. Remastered on the Nintendo Switch earns a 7 out of 10. The game's core gameplay is as engaging as ever, and it's a welcome addition to the Switch library. However, its performance limitations and story pacing prevent it from reaching its full potential. What do you think? Did you play the original Freedom Wars on the Vita? Or are you planning to try this remaster? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you won't miss our future videos. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay safe out there. We'll see you in the next video.